Welcome. This is the Elvis Show, where we give you some inspiration and values that would help you tweak your life. The today topic would be Africa Re-Rise. Why Africa Re-Rise? First of all, we are both sons of Africa. And second, once upon a time, Africa was a superpower, a place in space for kings and queens. Now, it was a place actually for the birth of civilization. So, we are going to talk today a little bit about the people of Africa, what exactly that the individuals living in the continent can do to rise again. Thus, Africa re rise. The best person to actually have that conversation with me today is none other than this transformational leader. He is a coach, author, and most importantly, a motivational speaker. Please, it is my pleasure to welcome on the show Stanley Fongod. Hello, Stanley. How you doing, man?
I'm great. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Elvis. Thank you for the invitation. I'm doing fantastic, and it's wonderful to be with you on this show. And I concentrate you on your show and the success is having. Thank you very much for the invite.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. It's my pleasure to have you here. But now let's start it with a firm introduction of who you are, because I usually give a few words with the guests, but I give a chance to the guests to actually talk a little bit about themselves and the things that they do. Please, could you share with us who are you and some of the things that you do?
Well, Stanley Fongod is my name, and I am an author. As you know, I spend most of my time writing fiction, even though I'm kind of moving out of that space. And secondly, I'm an IT guy, and I do system integrations. And right now, I'm currently working on a bunch of stuff on the African continent as well. So, in a nutshell, I am also a Pan-African who is crazy about Africa and who is crazy about her potentials and the greatness that she emerges out of. And I'm also I'm interested in being able to, share a little bit more about the continent, about her glorious past, because if you can't shape your past, it's not possible for you to forecast a beautiful tomorrow. So I think, that's in a nutshell, that's who I am.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And it fits quite nicely that you are in the continent now in Africa. So the topic is Africa Re-Rise. I wasn't sure what you were doing and where you were. And luckily you are actually in Africa. Now, quickly getting into it. Somewhere in Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill is quoted as saying, every problem, every challenge, every difficulties comes with it the seed of an equivalent difficulties. Giving the Africa continent, we know that it's a continent with lots of problem, thereby lots of opportunity as well. Through the lens of you being a transformational leader, a personal development coach, a motivational speaker, what do you think about Africa Re-Rise in the light of transformation, in light of development, specifically the people of Africa? What do you think about that?
The truth of the matter is that everything actually started on the African continent. The first time humankind walked on the planet Earth, it was in Africa. We are the birthplace of civilization. We are the birthplace of greatness. So I think Africa Re-Rise actually fits very well, especially when it comes to who we are. Unfortunately, the continent of Africa has been known for her poverty, for her wars, for just every single thing else known to humanity that is quite bad has been attributed to the continent of Africa. So, but not knowing that she has had a very beautiful past. Some of the greatest kings we have had has been from the African continent. Some of the greatest, females we have had on the planet Earth has been African queens. And so there is tremendous potential in Africa. And the truth of the matter is that we just have to find our place and then to understand fully who we are, where we come from, what we've been, what we have done, and then we can actually be able to push and promote a better tomorrow. I think if we're able to just understand who we are and where we are from, there's nothing else that can stop us as we, build and forge ahead to have a brilliant Africa for the next generation.
Wow, thank you so much for that response. Now, we are both Africans and we understand exactly what's going in the continent, even though that we are kind of behind in some aspects that the society might consider to be behind. One thing that strikes the most for me in Africa was this situation about instant gratification. And I want to illustrate that by giving you an example of an experiment that was conducted at Stanford University in the 1970s by Walter Mitchell. In fact, in the campus, he gathered 4-year-olds in one room. And in front of them, he was placed the marshmallow. And he instructed the kid that the marshmallow was there to eat. But if they waited for 15 minutes until he returns, he would give them 2 marshmallows. Now, after leaving the room, and went to a different room that was the one-way mirror, there were many kids who couldn't actually resist, and they actually ate the marshmallow right away. But other kids devised plans to avoid eating the marshmallow. Some kids actually hide under the table, and others turned completely their back not to see the marshmallow. And others even went as far as the corner of the room because they want to distance themselves from the marshmallow. The truth of the matter is, in the end, some of the kids, the 4-year-olds, didn't eat the marshmallow, and then upon the instructor returned, he gave them the second marshmallow. But that's not where things stopped, because 20 years later, there was a follow-up experiment, and it was realized that those kids that were experimented 20 years earlier, they tried to find out how they were doing in life. They realized that the kids who actually ate the marshmallow right away weren't doing well in life. They were not faring well in life. They couldn't hold up onto jobs. They didn't have better relationships. They dropped out of school. They weren't doing quite well compared to those who sustained not eating the marshmallow, actually were doing quite well in schools and in life and have better job. So now the distinction is, we both lived in Africa and many people are hungry, right? And when you are hungry, the tendency is to find something to eat right away. It's the instant gratification. You want to eat it today. In fact, you want to eat it yesterday. So in light of that distinction between the instant gratification and the delayed gratification, which are believed to be the linchpin of success and transformation in individuals and society as a whole, what do you think Africa can do, especially the individuals living in Africa, can do to adopt the system of the delayed gratification to be able to not only transform themselves, but their community and the continent as a whole?
The marshmallow problem, that it is you got me to a place where I have to honestly tell you that the biggest problem we face on this side of the world, on this continent, really might be, you can find elements of that within the construct of our own society, but the truth of the matter is that such an experiment on a continent to which has known nothing else but absolute, has known nothing else but wars promoted by colonial masters for selfish interest, and you have people who have continually been paid money to promote and also to create wars in countries like the DRC, in countries like Central African Republic, for the benefit of corporations overseas. That really it really does not fit, precisely into what you're saying. And the truth of the matter is that I respect that experiment. I mean, I know it, I've talked about it. But when it comes to us actually talking about, instant gratification, the truth of the matter is that on this particular continent, you live as if to say you're living on the south side of Chicago. You live here as if to say you're living somewhere on the south side of Los Angeles, somewhere in Watson County. You do not know when the bullets will come flying. And the reason for that is because here we are constantly on the, some kind of I call it some kind of an oppression, from some colonial master, from some foreign entity that is coming in, creating havoc just so that they can actually be able to take what's not theirs. The land was raped 400 years ago. The land was raped about 700 years ago. And there there's this persistent waves, of foreign entities onto this continent that is coming in to carry as much as they can. So it's, for me, I'm a little bit, I struggle with that. But the truth of the matter is that if everything else was equal, delayed gratification is absolutely something that we have to be able to embrace. And the reason for that is because you have to also be able to understand that you must understand hell. Hell is, if you know anything about the Christian faith, there's this particular picture about hell, where you have to embrace hell. You have to respect hell. Hell is every single thing else that you look for that you can find. Hell is that moment when somebody tells you that you can do it. That's hell. When someone tells you that you don't have what it takes to become successful, that's hell. But the way you embrace hell is that you understand that this is a place that you do not want to be in. All right, this is a place that you do not want to have anything to do with, and then you push that behind you. And then that becomes more like a cushion to be able to push you ahead. So you are constantly running from a place that you do not want to be in into the place that you really want to be in. So for me, I think that delayed gratification has a lot to do with that. On the African continent, do I want to? I mean, when we look at the lives of young people in this part of the world, and you have to ask yourself questions like, what tomorrow do they really have? You look at their lives, asking yourselves, for example, I'm in Cameroon right now, and I spent probably about 3 weeks just writing a documentary on drugs in Cameroon. There's crack, there's cocaine, there's God knows everything you can think of, in this part of the world. So yeah, home. I mean, this is something else that was completely unheard of, like 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
Okay, I had no clue what drugs was when I was growing up, but that's not the case now. So talk about delayed gratification, people actually looking for ways to be able to make a quick buck, distributing crack, distributing cocaine because they are trying to make money. A quick buck at the expense of a whole entire society that is literally being decimated by drugs. Okay, most of these kids, literally, their futures have been completely robbed, and a nation is literally being bankrupt because those who have the capacity or should have had the capacity to become our leaders tomorrow, are all drugged up. So I understand exactly what you're saying, but then I think that we also have to understand, where we stand in history and what has happened in the past and how we can be able to forge a better tomorrow by just understanding where we are coming from and what we should do now.
Well, thank you. I didn't see that part of the equation in terms of trying to apply the delayed gratification in the continent of Africa. Although there's something that I always thought about, that information is a key, because growing up in Africa, there's so much that we didn't know. And once you and I will live now in the United States, where we've been exposed to different philosophy of life, I'm quite sure that if somewhere along the line that philosophy is ingratiating in the mind of young people, I'm quite sure not all of them would actually seize it, but I'm quite sure that a few of them could actually grasp on the importance of that philosophy and be able to change their life with that philosophy. Because I usually work in the continent. I'll go in the continent, do some work with the youth there, and I see the transformative aspects of how when an idea is landed in one kid's mind, you see the light completely just goes off their face. You see that it's information because we are liberated by what we know and we are imprisoned by what we don't know. So by actually helping the young people see a different light, have a different philosophy of life, maybe we are working with the law of average here. If we talk to probably 10 kids about how they can use a different philosophy to change their lives, maybe two can grasp that idea. And that would be a success for us because that's the law of average. We're not waiting for the complete transformation in the one swoop of the magic wand. But anyway, if you just join us, our guest today is Stanley Fongod. He lives in the US. Oh, we lost connection with him now. I hope that he comes back. But he lives in the US, but actually he's in the Cameroon. So I lost him because I think the connection is a problem there. And I'm going to continue because we were actually doing this live. I'm not sure if it's going to come back. If it doesn't, so I would just continue to say that we were talking about the continent of Africa, how exactly some of the things as transformational leaders, as thought leaders in the world, how can we bring our perspective to the continent so as to impact the lives of those who live there, the youth precisely. And I was with the guest now. He disappeared because he's in Cameroon, he's in Africa. And we do know that the problem of connection, electricity, and even Wi-Fi is a problem in the continent of Africa. So we were talking specifically how we can help to change. Now he's come back now. We're going to bring him rapidly back. Thank you. There's a problem back. It was kind of expected, it was kind of expected. It wouldn't have been.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well.
Yeah. So, yes. So let's continue. Actually, now, Stanley, we are traversing a very difficult time with the pandemic that have, come upon humankind this time of the era, and then things have changed. Things have been shifted, and we need to pivot as individuals. So people are struggling, in many aspects of our lives. In fact, I would ask you, what attitude, what approach, or even what way can we actually do not only to survive this period, but actually to thrive? What ways? Is there a particular attitude? Is there a particular approach? Or even that we can adopt to actually, so not only to survive this time, but actually thrive this moment?
Well, these are very dangerous times. Actually, I think that the first thing that you have to do is to stay alive. Stay alive. Take all the necessary precautions that you can. Follow up whatever stuff you need to follow up, and just make sure that you are alive, because in the end, what matters is the fact that you are alive. And also, this should be a time when folks do hibernate. It's a time when you can actually be able to get into your closet and then try to be able to find what you're good at. The truth of the matter is that no matter how you look at it, this 24 hours is passing. There's 24 hours, this is 24-hour loops, that goes every single day. And it's been a year now, okay, of the lockdown. There's been a year of, folks, of businesses being closed down, a lot of things actually not working, folks not going to work and whatnot. But the truth of the matter is that time has not stopped. Time has kept on moving. So whether we like it or not, we really have to find ways to innovate within the pandemic. We have to find ways to, learn new skills. So by the time the pandemic is over, we can actually emerge better. All right, because the truth of the matter is that no one's going to hire you and wait for a year for you to gain a new skill just because it was a pandemic. All right. So you have to gain the skills now. You have to do whatever you have to do now, so that by the time, we get out of this, you're not just coming out of this, like somebody who's just coming out of one chaos. You're actually coming like someone who is coming out of chaos, but striving out of chaos, because you needed this chaos to get yourself ready for the next level of what is it that you're into. It might just be a blessing in disguise.
Wow.
Find the light in this darkness.
Wow. That's really inspiration right there. That's really inspiration, because at the moment when people might think that all is lost, it might actually be the moment that we need to pivot. We need to shift not only our thinking, maybe the way that we see the world, maybe the way that we look at ourselves in relation
Right.
with the world. Thank you so much with that. And just one last question, please. Just give us a thought of inspiration, just something that we can run with, something that we can take this moment, um, something that we will be energized by it. Just give us something that would help us. Thank you.
Well, if you are born, if you're born African, if you are an African child, if you are black, it doesn't matter wherever you are. To those at home and those who are in the diaspora, I want you to think about the kingdom of Kush. I want you to think about Makambuboy. I want you to think about the North civilization. I want you to think about the Benin Empire, the Ghanaian Empire. I want you to think about the Sanghain Empire, the Great Zimbabwe. All right, Carthage. Think about all this great civilization and what they actually meant for the African continent. Knowing mindfully well that all of these great civilizations, their DNA of success is imprinted in you. You are a carrier of generations of kingdoms. You have carrier of generations of great empires. And the truth of the matter is that the continent awaits your own manifestation. Somehow you have been told that you are not good enough. Somehow you have been told that there's nothing good or nothing good can come out of Africa. We are living on a continent that is the richest known to humanity. The greatest person to ever live came out of this continent. Okay, you cannot be able to minimize the great works, okay, of scholarship that came out of a place like Timbuktu. So for me, if you're African, if you're black, no man feel whether this particular that the world is actually waiting for your own manifestation. So it's time for you to rise. It's time for Africa to re-rise. Once upon a time, we were on top.
Wow.
Today, we can we can literally be able to go back and take our own position. Can I
All
say
right.
something though?
Yeah,
Can I say
sure.
something?
Sure,
The
sure.
please, there's one particular principle I've been working on for a couple of weeks now. It's that when it's your time, break your eggs. When it is your own time, break your eggs. That
Wow.
means if you never wait for someone to tell you that it's the right time for you to break your eggs. I don't know exactly what is in your mind that you're trying to accomplish. I have no clue what you're trying to do. But if there's enough desire within you to accomplish what is it that you're trying to accomplish, then you should break your eggs. Because whatever is yearning on the inside of you for success means that it is time for you to manifest your own greatness. So when your time comes, break your eggs. The second thing I want to leave with our folks is this: never expect to have a ladder on your way up. Okay, don't expect to have a ladder when you climb. And the truth of the matter is that no help might come. No one might be able to say, I'm going to help you. You might not have the opportunity for somebody to show up when you most needed the help. But one thing is for sure. I think if you've read the book The Alchemist, there's a particular quote in that book I love so much. It says, or when you desire something hard enough, okay, when you want something so much, he said the whole entire universe will conspire in your favor to give it to you. It's as if to say every single thing that's around you will coordinate itself because of your desire. There will have to be a pull from the inside of you that literally tells everything that's around you that your time has come. Jim Rohn says, whenever a student is ready, a teacher will appear. I think that whenever a student is hungry enough, success will appear. Whenever a student dreams that he wants or she wants to become whatever it is that life demands of them to become, then success will be inevitable. If that becomes the case, you will be able to kiss and tell. There's this whole in that stuff, don't kiss and tell. No, you should kiss and tell. What that means is this: that you should be able to love what you're doing so much that you are not ashamed to talk about it. You should be able to say, you know what, this is what I want to become, that you will not stop until you become what is it that you've envisioned to become. That to me is what makes life worth living.
what a way to end this show, Stanley Fongod. Ladies and gentlemen, please, if there's somebody curious, if somebody's curious as to who is, where to find you, where can people find you?
Stanley Fongod, just my name, Stanley Fongod on Facebook, Stanley Fongod on YouTube. There's a YouTube channel actually we're working on. It's called Renaissance Africa. We're working on that just to bring back Africa's forgotten stories, and also Stanley Fongod on Twitter.
Thank you so much, Stanley Fongod. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a pleasure to have Stanley on the show to discuss about Africa Re-Rise, this topic that's dear to both of us because we are sons of Africa. Thank you so much for your attention, and I will see you next time on the Elvis Show. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Hopefully